All right, welcome to the video. My name is Lenny Richardson. I'm the founder of Productivity Accelerator, and in today's video, what I want to do is react to the 12 hacks to be 99.9% more productive that cost nothing by Dan Martell. Now, I want to just make this very clear. I know nothing about Dan Martell. He seems pretty popular. He has 1.13 million subscribers, so he must be doing something quite right. His videos tend to pop up in my feed a lot. I haven't really watched any of them, but this one kind of caught my attention, so I figured we'd watch together. And as the top productivity coach and as the top productivity trainer in Northern Virginia, what I wanted to do is kind of just take a look at what his video is about, take a look at some of the tactics that he brings up, and kind of give my 2 cents on them. So let's get into the video and see what Dan Martell has to say.
I'm going to share with you the 12 hacks that keep me insanely productive 99% of every day. These strategies will allow the top 1% to get more done in a day than most people get done in a week. They're what I use despite having crippling ADHD, become a millionaire by age 27, sell 3 companies, and build a $100 million business.
So one thing that I want to bring up before we kind of get into the video, my bad if I pause a lot too. I'm really trying to make sure I get to some of the major points. He brought up that the top 1% do things differently from everyone else. Now, I want to make this clear because this is something that I see often and it doesn't get spoken about nearly enough, or at the very least, people don't take it seriously enough. If you want to improve, if you want to make some progress, if you want to have personal success, you need to do things differently than you're doing currently.
What I use despite having crippling ADHD, become a millionaire by age 27, sell 3 companies.
Real quick, I want to point this out. I don't really believe in ADHD. I know there's some people that claim that scientific studies prove it. I've never seen any good indication that ADHD really exists. Whenever I see people claim to have ADHD or whenever I see studies about people having ADHD, it seems to me more that the person they're talking about or talking to is just not interested in whatever it is that they're doing. Because I brought this point before, and I don't want to get super long-winded. I know the video hasn't even started yet. But I brought this point up before. If you take a kid with ADHD and put them in front of like Call of Duty, and they love Call of Duty, I'd be curious to see. Maybe they've done studies on this. I don't know. But I'd be curious to see if their ADHD still exists when they're playing Call of Duty or when they're doing things they actually enjoy. Or is it something that only exists in the context of school or in the context of the kid doing things that they just don't enjoy doing? Same with adults. If you're just doing things you don't like to do, then yeah, concentration, focus might be a bit difficult. Just my 2 cents on that.
Companies and build a $100 million business empire. So without further explaining it, these are the 12 ways to be more productive that cost nothing. The first hack is to increase your cycle time. A couple of years ago, I was hiring a bunch of copywriters, and I noticed that one of them was 10 times more productive than the other 2. It was interesting because eventually I ended up meeting up with them for a work session, and I saw one copywriter type with all 10 figures using hotkeys while the others just typed with 2 fingers like 5th graders. It never occurred to me that a copywriter wouldn't know how to type. The person who is 10 times more productive, they also never touched their mouse. They were using hotkeys the whole time, which made their output be that much faster. The first rule of productivity is to just get faster at the thing you're doing. Increase the speed of your mouse. If you go in there and just fast forward the speed of your mouse, it might feel weird at first, but you'll eventually get used to it.
Yeah, so I've never heard of cycle time. That's interesting. I 1000% agree. I do find it funny that a copywriter can't type with 10 fingers. That to me might be a sign that he's not a good copy. To me, that's a sign that he might not be a good copywriter. But yeah, essentially what this comes down to is you just need to have good tools. You need to be good. You need to have good tools, but you also need to be efficient with those tools. And the more efficient you are with those tools, the faster you become. So of course that makes you more productive. It's similar to you trying to send a letter by pigeon versus you trying to send a letter by email. It's just a tool that allows you to be more efficient, which allows you to ultimately do things quicker and be more productive. So 1000% agree so far.
Listening to playbacks on any type of audio, put it at 1.5, 2x. just gets faster. Learning how to type, taking typing classes, typing.com, learning the hotkeys for your email tool, your productivity tool, to make sure that everything is just one keyboard click away from getting done. An advanced version would be automation with AI. Think Zapier or other tools like it, where you can plug into workflows and use the AI to understand what you're manually doing, for it to process it and automate the whole thing so you never have to touch that work again. It could be everything from processing comments on your...
So I know I'm pausing a lot. I apologize. I just want to make sure I bring up certain things. I mentioned tools a few minutes ago. One thing that I think is going to be crucial, like fundamental in modern day success, is using AI tools. Much in the same way I think that using the internet is like fundamental, or was very fundamental to success during the 2000s and up until today. AI is that next step. I still see people who do not use AI, who don't know what AI is, who do not understand it. If you're one of those people, I can almost guarantee you're going to be left behind. I'm going to be completely honest. When I do for Productivity Accelerator, when we send out our emails, I use AI. Pretty much what I've done is I trained an AI agent that I've created, and I took all of our previous emails, not all, but like a lot of our previous emails, and I put them into AI to train it to type and speak like me for the newsletter. And from that point on, what I do is I just say, like, create emails based on A, B, and C topics for the entire year. Have 3 topics, or have 3 emails per week. These are the types of offers that I want in the emails. These are the type of call to actions. This is how frequent I want certain offers, certain call to actions. These are more urgent. These aren't as urgent. And AI takes care of all of it. And of course, I go back and I review it to make sure it looks good. You can do some little polishing here and there. But imagine how simpler it is to let AI create a schedule, a whole calendar of emails for the entire year versus what I used to do. This is what I used to do. For Productivity Accelerator, I would sit there and on like Friday or Saturday, I'd have time blocked out for like 2 or 3 hours where I'd sit there and I'd try to think about what emails to put out, what my offers are, what makes the most sense, how to write it in the tone that's most appropriate for the audience, how to set up the time so that way they can open at the best possible time. Pretty much I was not wasting time, but I wasn't leveraging my time as effectively as I could. AI takes care of all of that. So literally, all I have to do is post it to our email platform, which is MailChimp, and that takes me all of like 10 minutes. Does that make sense? So I've gone from taking 3 hours per week minimum, really minimum, because sometimes it would take me more than 3 hours, or it would take me 2 days, and dramatically cutting that down to about 10, 15, 20 minutes a week. We're trying to get that down to a month. So if you're someone, and that's just for emails, you can apply that same logic to videos, to responding to messages on social media, to even generating videos. I've created videos through AI personally for Productivity Accelerator, and even for my personal YouTube channel. I think if you're not doing that, or if you're not trying to learn those skills and techniques, you are just going to fall behind dramatically in 2025 and beyond. So major W for him right there. Learn how to use tools effectively, learn how to get better with those tools, and learn how to use the tools so that way you don't have to work nearly as hard.
Your social media to connecting your inbox, so that once a day, maybe twice a day, you get a summary of all your emails using AI to figure out which ones are high priority, which ones are low, with even recommended text to reply to those emails. Learning how to automate and increase workflow and be productive costs you nothing, but improves the cycle time. Which brings us to number 2, which is to make a stop doing list. When I'm speaking at a recovery center or at a group home for troubled youth, I always allow the kids to sit in my McLaren, and oftentimes they ask, so what do you actually do? And I usually respond with, it's not what I do, it's what I don't do. Most of us are doing things that take up our time, and we don't understand this core principle called the 90-10 principle. It's 10% of your work drives 90% of your results. So the key thing is to figure out, what are your strengths? What are you great at?
So I teach my clients 80-20 principle, the Pareto principle. 90-10, it's the exact same thing. He's just moving some numbers around. But the core premise is more or less the same. Most of your results are going to come from a few of your key actions. And it's funny how many people don't abide by this rule. Like, you can tell someone, stop doing A, B, and C, and they'll keep doing it, and they'll wonder why they're not making fast results. I've seen this a lot. I've had clients in the past where they're working on things for their business or for, they might be a freelancer. They're working on things that just don't matter. And not to say that they don't matter entirely, but they shouldn't be working on them. It'll be things like answering just generic emails. Don't answer generic emails if you don't have to. Find an assistant to do this. And so one of the things, he might mention this in this video, I'm not too sure. But one way to kind of really figure out what to not do, this is what I recommend, is you need to first have a value of your time. So if your time, I have a quiz below in the link, it'll be below. You can take it and it'll give you a value of your time by the hour. So you'll find out if you're worth $20 an hour, $40 an hour, $50 an hour, whatever. If your time is worth, say, $50 an hour, you shouldn't be doing $20 an hour activities. But a lot of people do. I've seen this a lot, especially I used to be a real estate agent. Well, I'm still technically a real estate agent. I do consulting. But I've seen this a lot when I was actively an agent that would do showings and listings. I'd see I'd see agents who would go out and they're just writing letters all day, or they're putting postcards on doors, doing door hangers. And that's fine. If you like to do it, that's perfectly fine. If you have a certain way to do it that you think only you can do, that's perfectly fine. But a lot of times I'd see people do it and they just put they put the hangers on the doors and they just walk away. And it's like, why not just hire someone to do this for you? Why not just hire some like college student or some high school student even, give them a bunch of these door hangers, let them do it with their friends and go around, pay them like $20 an hour, $15 an hour, $10 an hour, whatever. Let them do it because one, it makes sure that it's a job that'll get done like consistently, which is huge. Sometimes people don't do things like door hangers or emails, whatever, consistently. So this guarantees it's done consistently because it becomes their job. And second, it frees you up to do other things. It frees you up to maybe make more phone calls if that's the thing that leads to the most business for you. It could free you up to just have more time. Maybe you just want to like watch TV and just chill and you prefer to let someone else do the hard work for you. Why not do it? So I really highly recommend that. First, figure out what your time is worth. Then once you figure out what your time is worth, you can start kind of, as Dan is mentioning here, making that to not do list. You can figure out what you shouldn't be doing and focus on like the 1 to 3 things that matter the most.
Double down on those. Stop trying to become great at something you hate. Do enough so that it's not a deficit, but definitely don't spend all your time trying to take something you hate doing to try to make it something great when you're good at something and go be world class at it. Also look at all your vices. When I say it's what I don't do, I don't drink, I don't hang out with my friends and talk about other people, I don't gamble, I don't vape. There's all the stuff I don't do to create the space for me to be more productive. I'm also a big fan of finding people that are good at the things I'm bad at and love to do the things I hate. There's people out there that literally play at things that I consider work. My bookkeeper, she would rather sit there and stare at a spreadsheet and reconcile bank accounts than anything else. I would hate to do that. I'd rather be on the phone talking to people. I'd rather be at an event presenting. So just understanding there's other people out there that could buy back your time, that could help you out. You can trade, you can ask for favors. Another idea is to actually make a list of all the things that drain your energy. Things that you did in the last 6 months that you wish you wouldn't have done. Make that list, be clear, and then ask yourself, in the future when those opportunities come up, I'm gonna make sure I immediately say no. And it's as simple as a no. Reviewing the last 6 months and decide.
Yeah, this is another big thing that I think is extremely beneficial. So this is a great lesson here. It's good to know what drains your energy and what just makes you overly uncomfortable. There's this weird thing in the productivity space that I've heard in like the entrepreneur guru space where people say you should just do things that make you uncomfortable. To a degree, I agree with that. But to a large degree, I disagree with that. There are some things that if it makes you too uncomfortable to the point where you can't do it consistently, you should just stop trying to do it altogether. I'll give an example. Another example of when I was a real estate agent. When I first became a real estate agent, there were so many different things that people recommended I do. Some people said, put door hangers up on doors. Go walk around a subdivision, put door hangers up. Some people said door knocking. Go to a subdivision, just knock on doors, and try to ask for business that way. A lot of people would say, you should just do cold calling. So just pick up the phone, find a list of numbers, call them. Some people said, sit here in the front of the office, and when people come in, you can greet them, ask them what they want. If people call, you can talk to them on the phone, see what they want. so many different strategies that people suggested. And what I realized over time is that everything can work if you do it consistently. And my problem at the time was that I was just taking what people recommended to me because they were all people who I thought was ahead of me. So when this person said do door knocking, I went out door knocking for like a day or two and I hated it. And I stopped doing it because I hated it. And then someone else said, oh, do cold emails. So I did cold emails for like 4 days. And I didn't mind it too much, but the next person suggested, oh, you should do cold calling. So I stopped doing cold emails, did cold calling for like a few weeks, didn't like it. In reality, I should have just picked one thing and just did that consistently. Like not worried about like how good I was doing at it or, just do it consistently. So there are some things that if they make you too uncomfortable where you can't do them consistently, like for me, I hated cold calling. I just don't like cold calling. Don't do it. It's that simple. Just don't do it. If you don't like it that much, just don't do it. Posting on social media can work if done consistently. Putting door hangers in subdivisions can work if done consistently. Cold calling can work if done consistently. Whatever. Cold emails can work if done consistently. You just got to do something consistently. You got to really be good at auditing what gives you the most energy, what's simplest for you to do, and what's also effective. You kind of have to, find a good balance between those things.
Deciding what things you did that you would never want to do and put that on the stop doing list is a good strategy. Which brings us to number 3, which is to create urgency. I don't know if you can relate, but I'm the kind of guy back in the day where I would wait till the last minute to work on a big project, either homework for school or a big presentation at my work, so that I created a sense of urgency to get it done. I used to tell myself some weird line about like, oh, that's when I'm most creative, when I have pressure on myself. But it turned out it made it really bad for everybody else in my life. It meant I didn't prepare, and it just created a lot of emotional shrapnel that didn't need to exist. This is exactly how I do it today. First off is I set an earlier deadline for completion. I know, I'm making this up in my head. That's fine. Whatever is the due date, I make the date sometimes 2 weeks before. Why? Because I just want that urgency to focus my creativity. It allows me to come prepared.
He might mention this. By the way, I always tell my clients, create a deadline. If you have a project or a goal, create a deadline. There's lots of reasons for it. I'm not going to get into them all right now. If you're the kind of person that believes that if you wait to the last minute, it makes your work more effective, I can almost 100% guarantee you're a liar. Because I've never seen anyone do something at the very last minute and have it be great or excellent. It feels like it's good in the moment because you've completed it and you think to yourself, oh, that was better than I thought it'd be because I got it done. But it's like saying I waited to the last minute and I got a 6 out of 10. It's like, had you just done it earlier, had you been more consistent with it, had you really taken the time to plan it out, be creative about it, really be thoughtful about it over the long term, it would have been an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. And whatever that thing is that you did might have produced far greater results. Instead, you waited to the last minute, you got a 6 out of 10 doing this, so you got 6 out of 10 results. Or 0 out of 10 results, because maybe you got it done, but it didn't really lead to anything. It didn't really amount to much, because it's sloppy. Create a deadline. Definitely agree with this rule. 100% create a deadline. One thing, another reason why you should definitely create a deadline is because sometimes when you first start to work on something, what you're going to realize is that it takes longer to get it done than you expect. So if your goal is to create a YouTube channel and get lots of content up and, maybe publish 3 videos a week, if you've never created a video, you'll probably find that it takes much longer than you thought it would. So if you thought it would take you a day, it might take you 2 days. It might take you a week. It might take you a month, depending on what kind of videos you want to produce. This is just an example. So this is why you have a deadline, because it creates urgency, like he said. Very true. But the other part of it is you get to kind of figure out how long something takes in the first place. Because again, if you wait till the last minute, say with the video editing example, you think it might take you a day or 2 to create a video. You wait until you have a day or 2 left, and it takes a week. The content's going to be sloppy. The content's not going to be good. And had you just taken more time to get it done, you would have had a much greater result. So hopefully that makes sense.
compared to all these big events in my life. If it's prepping for a podcast I'm going on or working on my book deadlines or whatever it is I'd rather have the date way sooner than it's needed so that I also have the breathing room to be more creative and more inspired. Another strategy I love to use is to block time in my calendar, usually about 90 minutes per project. And what I'll do is I'll set a timer. I like to use a Pomodoro time.
This is like my number one rule. Get a planner, time block, use the Pomodoro timer. I literally use that exact website that he's using right here. So I got nothing more to say about this. 10 out of 10 tip. If you don't have a planner, you are making a massive mistake. If you need a planner, by the way, in the description below, I have the Elite Life Planner. It'll show you exactly how to evaluate your time. It'll show you how to time block. It'll show you everything you need to know about how to have daily success. It does have a cost. It's $12, but I think that's a pretty cheap price when it comes to to me it's pretty inexpensive when considering all of the stuff that you'll find in that planner. There's videos, there's guides. So if you're interested, it's down below in the link.
Timer, which is 25 minutes of focused work and then 5 minutes off to refresh, to use the bathroom, to get some water, and then it goes off and I'm back at it again. Whatever project I'm working on, if I put that block time, those 90 minutes in my calendar, and I do 3 sessions of that Pomodoro, it helps me overcome my ADHD. It focuses me, and because the timer is counting down, it's like every 5 minutes I'm like, how much did I get done? How much did I get done? It's almost up, and it just focuses me to get the most work and makes me more creative and more resourceful and doesn't waste my time, which brings the schedule time to recharge. I'm not proud of this, but I used to be the person that would work 100-hour weeks. I would just...
Yeah, so I used to be guilty of this myself. I used to try to work like every single waking hour, like literally 12, 15-hour days. Sometimes I would work like into the night. Sometimes I'd wake up like in the middle of the night or like early morning and just start working again. On the surface, you think you're being more productive because you're equating hours in to output. Like you're thinking, if I work more, if I work longer hours, if I work harder, then I'll get more results. That's not true. There are certain things that matter the most, like we mentioned earlier in the video. Just doing those things alone is enough when it comes down to it. You could do one thing per day that really moves the needle and be significantly further ahead than someone who's working 12 hours, 15 hours a day on the wrong things 7 days a week. Does that make sense? Like, you can literally be that kind of guy that works 5 days a week on just one thing every single day. And as long as it's the right thing, you'll be significantly further ahead than some guy that's working 12 hours a day or 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it's not how much you do, but it's what you do and how consistently you do it. Now, when it comes to recharging, I learned fairly recently that if you don't give yourself time to recharge, the quality of the work you do will diminish, which of course will lead to diminished results. But you'll also potentially get yourself to a point of burnout. And once you get to that point of burnout, depending on how bad it is, and I've experienced this firsthand, so I'll tell you this, it might take you weeks or months to kind of get back on the wagon, so to speak, and to actually start being productive again. So like actually start getting some real work done. Like I've had moments where I've burned out and it took me like a month or two to really like start doing things again. And some people say like, oh, push past the burnout. I don't recommend that, because if you burn yourself out too hard or like too much, if you work like way too much, it's way too difficult to like get back into it and really start having productive days again. Your brain's going to be all like hazy. You're going to start getting depressed. You're going to be super unhappy. And I think that when your emotional state's not high, when it's not great, it just affects your overall performance. Hopefully that makes sense. So definitely give yourself time to recharge. Me personally, nowadays, I try to work on like drawing every single night or playing video games. I know people say don't play video games. There's nothing wrong with playing games. Nothing wrong with going out. Nothing wrong with hanging out on the weekends. These are all perfectly fine things, when done in moderation, of course, but give yourself time to recharge.
Get up, crank, ignore everything else. Ignore my health, ignore my friends, ignore my relationships, because I was just doing whatever I could to try to be successful. And it did create momentum. The challenge is it also created bad momentum because I didn't take the time to recharge, to reset, and the energy was frantic. which means there was no space for what I call step functions of growth ideas. So now I have a completely different approach, and here's how I think about it. Just like I have block time for work, I also have block time for rest. See, the magic that I've discovered is in the reset. We are one creative idea away from having our whole life change. Think about it. It could be that book idea. It could be that idea to call a friend. It could be a conversation with somebody that you didn't even plan. What I've discovered is the world works this way. There's two different systems no matter who you are. Think about the yin and yang. There's a sympathetic system, which is fight or flight. And then there's the parasympathetic system, which is to relax and to chill out. There's the anabolic system, which takes protein to build muscle. And then there's the catabolic system that eats the protein. There's eustress and then there's distress. Eustress is when you decide to do something hard and you push on the world to change, and distress is when you feel like the world is pushing on you and it makes it hard. Understanding that if you want to be the most productive, the most creative, the most expansive, that you have to have some push and also some time to pull, some drive, and also some reset. I now have cutoff time for when I finish my work because I know my brain's not going to work well after that. No good decisions are going to be made. And I also understand how my body and my energy flows. So for example, I'll go sit in the hot tub and just sit there on my phone and outline new video ideas, or reach out to friends I haven't seen in a while, or think about creative ideas of things I might want to do over the next 6 months. It's understanding that you can't always be going charge, because it's actually in the reset where you create the space that makes the creativity and the big needle moving decisions come to life. I've learned.
Yeah, this is like working out. If you watch any of my other videos, I often try to like equate productivity to progress at the gym. Just because I think that working out, even if you're not someone that works out consistently or works out at all, some of the ideas behind working out and building muscle, it's just easier to kind of illustrate. It's easier for people to make sense of it, and then compare it to productivity. So I tell people trying to be overproductive or work too much is like trying to lift too much at the gym. Like if you don't give yourself time to rest in the gym, if you don't allow your muscles to recover, what you're going to do is eventually you're going to tear something. You're going to tear something, or you're going to hurt yourself, or you're just not going to recover. All of those things are terrible. Some are worse than others. But the overall impact is that you're not getting to the goal that you want. The same applies with productivity. If you're trying to work too much, too consistently, and you're not giving yourself time to take a rest, to recharge, you're going to burn yourself out, like I mentioned earlier. And of course, in the long term, if you're burnt out, you're going to set yourself up for failure. Literally, burnout to me is similar to tearing your muscle at the gym, or like breaking something. Like if you're at the gym and you do, say for example, leg day, you're doing squats and you say tear your quads, or even like hurt your hips too much or sprain something, that might put you out of the gym for a month, 2 months, 5 months, maybe a whole year, maybe 2 years. If you've made progress up until that point, you're going to go backwards. So by the time you are healthy again and you're able to get back to doing squats, you're further back than when you started. Like your legs may have atrophied, which is you've lost the muscle. So now you're back to square one. So now you got to get back to the point where you were before you injured yourself. And then if you want to get to that goal that you had in the past before you injured yourself, you got to do double the work or triple the work or quadruple the work. Does that make sense? So rather than have to go through that hurdle, just pace yourself. Allow yourself to rest. Allow yourself to recharge. Hopefully that example made sense, by the way. Let me know in the comments if it made sense to you or not.
Learned over the years that vacations make me a better person for my team, for my family. So when I go away and I go mountain biking with my friends, or I take my family and we go to Europe somewhere, when I come back, I just feel energized. I feel that I've got more life to give other people. And it turns out that if you're building businesses with other people, you have partners, you have customers, you have vendors.
Real quick, I want to say this. One thing I've learned about myself, and I'm sure this is true of many people, if you're someone who likes to be like hyper productive, the days when you don't work at all makes the days when you do work far more fulfilling. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, I'll use another gym analogy. It's like if you're someone who likes to go to the gym and you'd say take a week off, say you get sick or you don't have access to a gym. When you take off for that week, you're that much more amped and that much more excited to go back to the gym. And you're like, dude, I need to go back to the gym. I'm like feeling unhappy that I can't work out. So then you enjoy the process much more, and you're far more energized and far more likely to get in good workouts. Same with productivity. Some days I'll take like a whole 3 days, 4 days, maybe even a week to just chill and be a potato, as I call it, where I just play video games or watch YouTube, watch Netflix, just chill. And even if I intend to do like a whole week, maybe by day 2 or 3, I'm so like amped up and I'm so ready to get back to work that the work doesn't even feel like work. It feels like fun. And it's far more enjoyable. I'm getting a lot more done and being more productive anyway. So I don't know. I recommend that even if you're someone who's like hyper productive, take a few days off every once in a while. Even if you don't want to, still do it, because that first day off or those 2 days off are going to make you like super amped up to like get back to work. And then you'll find that once you get back to work, you'll just be supercharged and like really getting a lot more done a lot faster. Like you'll be really dialed in by doing that. So just my 2 cents.
Those conversations are going to be a lot more fun when you've reset yourself, you've new energy, you're recharged to attack your work. I think most people feel guilty taking time off. They think anytime I'm not working or I'm not showing up for my team that I'm just 1 second away where something massive is going to implode on my life, and it makes it really hard for them to unplug, where the opposite is actually true. It's kind of like a pressure cooker. If you work 100 hours a week and you don't take any time off, eventually that pressure cooker is going to overflow. And you may think that you're good, but your body will start going into adrenal fatigue. You'll have anxiety attacks. I've seen people break out into shingles. They've got these little sore spots that start breaking out on their skin, and that's literally their body telling them they have not reset. They've not created any self-care in their life. You can't redline your body nonstop and it not be upset with you. Productivity is being able to stay consistent for long periods of time without having to reset because you went too far. Which brings us to number 6, which is to wake up early.
All right, so this video is pretty long. It's about 21 minutes long, so we're at the halfway mark. What I'm going to do is I'm going to end it right here. If you're interested in me watching the rest of this and getting my 2 cents, leave a comment below, and I'll certainly get back to this. This has been a fantastic video so far. Up until this point, I agree with everything that Dan has said. But yeah, let me know what you think about this video. By the way, if you're interested in the planner I mentioned earlier, like I said, it's in the link below. It's $12. To me, super cheap. It'll share everything you need to know about how to time block, how to schedule your day effectively. There's videos in there. There are guides. To me, it's one of the most comprehensive planners you could ever purchase. So it's in the link below. Let me know what you think about the planner. Let me know what you think about this video. And if you want me to do a next one, leave a comment below. I love you. I'm glad to see you in this video. Hope you get a lot out of this, and I hope to see you in the next one.